Hi, in this series of videos we'll talk about how to carry out the ordinary maintenance for your Delta WASP 3D printer. Delta WASP printers have different kind of architectures but share most of the components in it. This means that we can basically carry out the same kind of maintenance independent from which kind of model you have. We recommend to do this sort of ordinary maintenance from time to time. You will find on the user manual more specific instructions on that, and carrying out these procedures can help to make your machine efficient and long-lasting in time, preventing different kinds of issues that you can have after sometimes you use the machine. Let's go and see the main operations we have to do. All Delta WASP machines are based on the Delta Kinematics. The Delta Kinematics is based on 3 sliders that will move on the column, and by doing so they will carry around the extruder on the build volume. However, for doing so we need to use some belts to carry around these sliders. You can see these belts in the proximity of each column. Now, these belts during the production and testing of the machines are pre-tensioned. It's possible that during the use of the machine, maybe after years of using these mechanics, these belts may loosen. In this case, you will probably feel with your hands that one of the belts is tensioned in a strange, different tension compared to the other. This is something that we must avoid as much as possible, because if the belts are not equally tensioned, they can lead to some problems. For example, the most common one is the layer shifting when we are using high print speeds. So, if you carry out during the maintenance of your machine this test and you feel there is one of the belts that is not tensioned properly, I suggest you to contact our customer support that will help you through the tensioning of the system. It's actually pretty easy, but it's better to do it without an expert of the machines. In Delta Kinematics, the movement of the extruder is based on the sliders. But the sliders, in order to move the actuator, which is the part carrying the extruder, will use these rods. In our machine, we generally have 6 rods, 2 for each side of the extruder, and they are very important because the quality of the movement depends a lot on this. The high quality components we use on the machines allow zero friction movement even with the higher temperatures, and this is something that we can rely on. However, after a lot of use of the machine, these movements can get a bit more rough, and maybe you can feel some friction when moving these components. Now, this machine is new, but if you feel like your rod needs a bit of help in the movement, we suggest you to use products like PTFE-based sprays in order to lubricate these components. Remember that not only these joints can be responsible for a bad movement, but also it could be something caused by the joint on the slider. So remember to check this stuff from time to time, especially if you use the machine for production 24/7. It's possible that you will need to lubricate it. Otherwise, after a long time you don't lubricate the machine, the movements can get a bit worse. Every 3D printer is composed of many components. In this we have some electronics, some heaters, so we have some parts that will reach very high temperatures during the operation of the machine. For this reason, we have many fans that play a huge role during the use of the machine in cooling down some parts that should not exceed some limit temperatures. It's important that from time to time during the ordinary maintenance we go check our machine in case there is maybe some fan that is not working or it's not working properly. A fan that is not working can lead to the overheating of some other components, and in the end we can get with some maybe big problem just because this small fan ceased working. This is not something that normally happens, but of course in time there is the possibility that one of these fans can lose the functionality. So what I recommend you is to just turn on your machine during the ordinary maintenance so that we can check the minimum speed of all the fans. Consider that when you turn on your machine, all the fans will start working at the minimum speed and you will be able to see them spinning. So let's turn it on. I will open the door because I want to see the extruder working. Now, I can clearly see that this side fan is now working. This side fan is working. And I also take a look on the one in the bottom. This one is the only one that when the printer is not operating, won't work. So if you want to check if it's working, you should start the print and you can see it spinning. The other pair of fans that we want to look at are the ones of the filament threaders. So here too, I see the two fans working. These are very important. For example, in this case, they have to cool down the motors on the filament threader. So in case these are not working, we could have an overheating here and consequently some problems. The last fan that we have to control, this is maybe the most important and the biggest, is the one that we can find on the top of the machine. And it's very important to control it because this one is the fan cooling down the board of the machine. So we don't recommend operating the machine in a room with a lot of dust and suspended dirt because this can compromise the work. However, you have this kind of filter on the top of the fan. So you can see here we already have collected some of the dirt in it. So what I suggest you is you can clean it with compressed air. And when you do it, then you can place it back in its position and cover it again. If you have an industrial Delta WASP machine built after 2020, you probably have the active system for the filtration of the air. This is especially important in case you are working with materials that can release fumes or other kinds of powders and chemicals. This system will actively take all the air inside of the machine and will slowly clean it through two separate HEPA filters. Sometimes we need to change these filters. We recommend to do it 2 times a year, so each 6 months. And the procedure to replace it, it's actually really easy. So let's do it together. We can look inside the machine in the slot that is holding the HEPA filtering. So there are some handles here. As we remove it, the board will tend to fall down. So if we want to remove it, let's slide it in our direction. Now you can directly see the HEPA filter, this one. This is the one I want to replace. So I have some handle it to help me take it off. So this is the old one. You can see it's actually not completely white, meaning that it has been working for some time. Let's take a new one. This is our new HEPA filter, and we will place it in the exact same position. Now we want to close again the system. So I will just put this inside and I help myself with the other end to close it with the handle. Of course, when we replace the filters, we should do the same procedure for both the filters, the one on the left and the one on the right.